All right, quick question. Before you go any further, is this we didn't? I started recording after you started talking. So is this right now?
Yeah,
Or
this.
okay,
Well, I
okay,
mean, but you can keep recording. I mean, this is just kind of
okay. Well, yeah. I
it can,
just
yeah.
if this was gonna be like the show, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have like a very cold intro.
Well, I mean,
So
it's gonna be a cold intro, but I mean, this is the deal, man. I just want to because we have a lot of discussions that people never see,
yeah, like
right?
last week.
Well, yeah, that was because you didn't press record. Um, which I had one too. So now each of us have one where
Oh, really?
well, you don't remember us having it like 2 months ago? Was going through the whole
Oh,
conversation and I
right.
forgot.
Okay, I feel
Oh,
a little bit better now.
yeah. I mean, forget I said that. Yeah, it's all you, buddy.
Oh,
But no, but all jokes aside though. So I mean, I feel like a lot of times people don't know Q. They don't know why I think the way that I think, right? Or why I believe what I believe, or the we all have certain um defining moments in our life that make us who we are, right?
what are those for you?
Well, so when I was a kid, my family, we were going to buy a home. Both my parents are professionals, worked very, very hard. We grew up, showing cattle, raising cattle, as kids doing 4-H and those types of things, raising horse type of thing. And so we decided my parents were going to buy this ranch house, really cool. Um, I don't know if you call it ranch community. I guess the best thing to call it Texas. And
Seems like just about everywhere I've been in Texas.
well, I mean, and it was great. Had a fantastic corral. I mean, had some chutes so we could rope out of them. I mean, um, we could do some rodeo events and things like that out there. I mean, it was like literally as a kid, it was my dream home. You know, we each were gonna have our
Where
own
you
room.
imagined yourself in 50 years, had your own family type of
Well,
thing.
yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, for sure. And so my folks, they had the finances to be able to purchase the house. They had the means by which to purchase the house. But of course, this was a very different time back when I was a kid, and but still within my lifetime. And it was brought to our attention that as bad as we wanted to live in that place and as excited as we were, that in the deed restrictions, it stated that we could not live there because my parents were black.
Like it said that
It
no
said that
blacks.
no, it said that the properties could not be owned by anyone of African or Negro descent.
Wow.
That was literally the in the deed restriction.
Wow.
Um, and that was a defining moment for me. Right now, I can't speak for my other siblings, and I suspect that that affected them in a lot of ways as well. Um, but I had two choices, right? I could become bitter and say, screw America. How dare they, have these types of views and attitudes? Or I could try to understand the why behind the reason people think they react this way. I always get frustrated whenever, I mean, because I skate two very fine lines, right? I just skate the line between, um, I am black, obviously. Surprise!
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I don't think we can be friends anymore.
right? Yeah. So
You
this,
laying this out on me right now,
yeah,
such a surprising fashion.
sprung it on
You
you.
lied to me,
I
sir.
lied
You
to you.
said you were Sandy Beige 42.
Yeah. Well, I am Sandy Beige 42, but as far as the rest of the world, when they see me, they don't see me in my true form. They see me as just another black guy. But all jokes aside, though, um, from that moment, I mean, people, I I I I I, I also realized that because some people see me in a generic fashion, right? I'm a black guy, so as far as they're concerned, um, so therefore, because of this groupthink mentality that we've developed in this country and across the world, I guess, really, people just assume certain things about me,
Well,
right?
yeah, people in Africa are African Americans.
Well,
Uh,
people look at me and they assume that I vote Democrat. They assume that I dislike white people, or feel that I am underprivileged because of white people. I mean, these are all things that people assume, and so when I speak the way I do to you guys, I hope you understand. I've lost a whole lot of friends because of this show, right? Because people are like, I can't believe you actually feel that way. This is who I am. I'm putting it out there, who I am, and hopefully we can burn this plantation down, this PC culture that enslaves people, right? That forces people, because they look a certain way, or they grew up in a certain area, or they're from a certain area, that they have to think a certain way, which is really unfortunate, right? So after this situation with looking at this property, we could have fought it, right? I mean, and it's my mother. She's more, we're going to the news stations and they're going to sell us this house,
I can see you're doing that.
right? And my father's like, do we really want to live around people who don't want us there in the first place, right? I mean, but as a
was was this provision recently, or was it left over from
I suppose it was
like way
probably
back
left.
during the Civil War? It was put in there.
There wasn't a house in that neighborhood, or not. It wasn't really a neighborhood, I guess, but in that particular community, there wasn't a house that was old. So I
This
would
might be a
say that
lawyer question. I wonder if it could follow subdivision or divisions of lots.
I'm not sure, but I mean, but either way, it was still I was still in the deed restrictions, and that was what 1997, 98, right? So maybe it was, yeah, that was about 97, 98. So fairly
Seems so
recent.
long ago, but
Well, unless you're as old as I am, right? But as a kid, I mean, I grew up, and having, our mailbox having,
really, like
yeah, like
someone came along and put a M80.
the we had the Klan in our area, and
Wow.
so, um, we had, spray painted across our driveway, "Niggers go back to Africa," right? So I mean, so we seeing those things growing up, you know, um, and I think it all started because my father, he got lost one day when we first moved into the area, so he stopped to ask this guy in a robe who's getting in his vehicle how to
A
get.
white robe?
No, no, no. It was a green robe,
Oh.
which which made him a little higher up than a
Oh,
guy.
right, right, right. Yeah. I forgot my clan colors. Usually don't. I usually don't interact with such high level officials.
And
So.
so he he admitted that we were now living in the area. So yeah, that didn't go over too well. That we had essentially integrated this area. So I mean, grew up seeing that stuff. So I'm going somewhere with this, but I mean, in life, you are faced with two people can be faced with the exact same set of circumstances and come away being changed equally, but go in totally separate directions, right? Um, and I realize that as much as I hate the idea of the Klan, right? As much as I hate the idea of white supremacy, as much as I hate the idea of supremacy of any kind, I hate the idea of black supremacy as much as I hate the idea of white supremacy.
What do you mean by that?
This idea that
Or not hating supremacy, but black supremacy.
this idea, and obviously there's a movement out there that seeks to empower black people by telling them that they are supreme and they are a superior race over white race, right?
Well, you guys typically can run faster than us.
Well, I mean,
Jump higher.
there's a
I,
lot
I
of.
heard you can jump. I
Unfortunately, because
haven't
I'm
tried
Sandy
that
Beach
lately.
42, the running fast thing kind of surpassed me. So unfortunately, but You always try to get me in trouble, man. You're gonna get this channel shut down, I
Uh,
swear. But
but then we could just go after YouTube and go, why do you hate black people?
why do you?
Why-
They're gonna say he's
why-
not black.
why
He's
do you-
Sandy Beach 42.
Why are you shutting up a black? Why are you denying a black man a voice?
Yeah. So, but you know, we go to we find ourselves in a situation where everyone wants to prove their supremacy, and why can't it just be equality? Why can't we all just come to a place where no one wants to be supreme over the next? We just want to all be treated equal. Why can't we come to a place where, you know what, I don't need a leg up, I don't need to be treated specially, I don't need to be given anything special. I just want you to get out of my way and let me live my life comfortably. And
Sounds like a flag.
and that's it does. I think maybe I can find that. If you can find a picture of that, why don't you use it as the tag for this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, which one? The
The-
don't tread on me or the tread on them?
I think if for sake of conversation, the "don't tread on me" would be more appropriate. But
Okay.
but I think when people finally realize what true liberty and true freedom means, it means all men finally being treated and dealt with equally. What we have done by allowing the government to try to force things to happen unnaturally, that pendulum can never just stand in the middle.
Are you talking about forced school integration?
I think integration,
Ending
you know, I mean,
or I wanted to say Jim Crow, but then that's the opposite.
yeah,
to a degree.
that is the opposite. But you got to remember that was government, that was government enforced as well. That
Yeah,
was
that's what
law, right?
That's what I was
so
like, well, you know, made them stop, or the government said we're not going to.
but we but then the pendulum swung the other direction with things like affirmative action, right? Which I'm not going to get into. That's a conversation for a different day. But my grandmother once told me, and she was in that first school that was integrated, but she once told me that she felt that integration was one of the worst things to ever happen to black people.
Why is that?
That again is a long conversation.
Okay.
But she felt that she felt that there were certain aspects of, man, I want to be careful because if I can't fully explain myself, I feel in the allotted amount of time, I feel like it can cause more harm than good. But that's a conversation we should have. But let's just say that we should definitely talk about that. But back to things like the Klan, right? Do I believe that the Klan should exist? As long as there are people who believe the way that the Klan does, yes, they should have the freedom to exist. If the government came out with legislation tomorrow outlawing the Klan, I would fight against it. Why? Because we should never put ourselves in the position where we allow the government to decide what speech is free, which speech is not, even if we disagree with that speech, right? I don't agree with everything the Black Lives Matter says, but I believe that they should have voice, right? But then that's a tough one, right? Because then you get into groups like ISIS, right? Which that is, did they have a platform for free speech?
Personally, I draw the line at action. Like it's the actions of the group or the person slash eventually trickle up into the group that are the problem.
Bingo.
I don't have a problem with the KKK existing. I have a problem with the KKK lynching people.
Yeah. So let's
I
make
don't
sure
have
that let's make sure that
I don't,
that never
sort of.
gets
I mean, I
cut
disagree with
down.
just about everything ISIS because if I was over there, they'd probably kill me. But at just them talking, I don't have an issue with.
Right.
With what they do is what I take issue.
And that's where I feel like that's that at that point and that point alone should the government be able to get involved when the rights of one group are infringing actions of are infringing rights and liberties of that point, then the government should be involved. But until then, I do not believe that they should be involved in the day.
For me, frankly, I would rather laugh at them. If they're prevented from talking, then I can't laugh at them.
Well, that's the weird part. So, I mean, I believe that decency. I believe in human. I believe that most good people. Um, do they have some strange ways? Sure. You and I are not cut from the
Oh yeah,
exact same cloth. We
I
have
think you're really strange.
we have different views, but at the same time, I think we have more in common than we have not in common. I believe that the more people talk, realize we have more in common than what we have not in common. But I think they had that Klan rally the other day, where I think they had like 9 people showed up to the rally,
Oh gosh,
right?
that's pitiful.
So, but the media wants to convince us that the Klan is growing and white
Well,
supremacy
yeah,
is
they
on the
were at
rise,
5 last year.
huh?
They were at 5 people last year.
Right?
It's almost a
It's
100% growth.
almost doubled in size. But I mean, but in order to believe some of that crap, you have to literally come to the place where you no longer believe in the common decency. And I refuse to give up on that. I still believe that most people are decent people. Now, there's some bad eggs, absolutely. Are there some rotten apples? Sure, there are. But do most people want the same thing, which is healthy, to be somewhat prosperous, and to have their
Have a better today than they did, or better tomorrow than they did.
everyone wants a brighter future. That's a great way to put it, Josh. Absolutely, they want their tomorrow to be better than today. Um, that's perpetually right. They want their kids to have a better, um, brighter future, right? And as long as we can try to ensure that, better we are. But that also means trusting our fellow man and getting getting the getting 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 the powers that be out of our daily lives, um, and allowing humanity to police itself in a lot of ways because it is capable, as long as we just allow liberty to reign, as long as we allow freedom to reign.
Some of those problems kind of take care of themselves.
They tend to, whether that be by technology, you know, whether that be by, you know, especially nowadays, we are all closer than we ever have been. You know, in 5 minutes, I can be having a conversation. In right, I mean,
Yeah,
so technology has brought us all a lot closer. Really want to know about some. All you have to do is reach out and ask that. Our grandparents didn't, right? They just everything was propaganda. They
yeah.
were
They listened to the news. They didn't interact with it unless they were somehow involved in the story that was in the paper or
sure,
on the TV.
and they just had to trust that whoever was writing the story or communicating the story was being 100% honest with about it. Took a lot of trust,
It
right?
does.
And history has kind of judged those. Some situations, yeah, they were honest. They weren't, and now we look back on that atrocities. I feel like we have no this day and age to as naive as former.
History used to be written by the winners. Now it's documented on Wikipedia by 1,000 people.
True, true. And so we find ourselves in a position where um where now we are seeing transition of power from the individual, from people, private citizen, to and that's a concerning position to be in. I look at the Trump situation and Mueller coming out talking about, unable um to to prove um Trump's innocence, or there was a
Wait, he
broader
was unable to prove his innocence?
unable to prove his innocence.
That's a weird way to say not guilty.
That's the issue, right? We've made a transition now where we've almost accepted it, that people are having to be proved innocent as opposed to being proved guilty, right? Our entire judicial system is supposed to be based on assumption of it until someone is able to prove that you're not. And now, because of speed news travels and the slant put on stories, and it happens on both sides.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the people on the right are just as guilty. I mean, as soon as we hear about something, because it happens to the person in the story happens to be someone we don't like, we lap it up, tweet it up, right? We're like, oh
Yeah.
well, yeah.
I can think of some recent public officials that I'm constantly seeing posts about from my conservative friends. It's terrible. I hate it. Like, stop. Just stop.
And there we go. So it's all full circle, right? My love for freedom, my desire for freedom and requires me to be willing to fight those who do not for the sake of liberty. Likewise, I have to be willing to support the rights I don't necessarily agree with because it's the right thing. Still, we are all willing to step up, stand up, people we don't necessarily agree with because we realize that we put a premium on freedom. They will continue to fight us, continue to get us to fight against each other. Meanwhile, our liberties are being eroded away to the place now where
Yeah.
Netflix and Disney,
It's almost like they're lords from a feudal system.
in a lot of ways, I mean, I don't see how you could look at it any other way, right? I mean, when the corporation is telling the people, if you don't change your views, if you do not vote the way that we want you to vote, we are going to pull our funding. We are going to stop doing business in town. Dangerous place to be. And it used to be that the consumer told the corporation, if you don't do this, we are not going to. Now the corporation is saying, you don't do what we.
It's a strange world we live in, man. Strange world.
What a time to be alive, right?
What a time. I mean, my parents used to say to me, Soder, when we were kids, we didn't have VCRs. It just blew my mind.
Yeah.
That they couldn't watch a movie whenever they wanted.
Right.
They had to watch whatever was on TV or go to a movie.
Right.
Now, I have kids, and we have not only, well, we don't have a VCR, but
really,
no, we don't. No, but we have Amazon Prime. We used to have Netflix. Used to have Hulu. Before I had kids, I had a DVR and cable TV. So being able to watch show even when I wasn't able to as a kid, whenever I wanted, when I got off work, I could queue up Mythbusters or uh, something from History Channel or whatever. I could just queue it up and watch it, even though it had aired hours or days before,
Right.
and I just watch it.
Right.
My kids have grown up with that.
Yeah.
They want to watch Tumbleleaf,
Yeah.
or Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just queue it up.
Yeah.
And it plays.
Sure.
And a few months ago, we started doing aerial TV, and put it on the Yes Kids station.
Aryan TV.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The Aryan conspiracy on VHF.
Sorry.
White supremacy in the airwaves. It's PBS,
right,
but they don't have commercials, but they have commercials.
right.
Like between segments in a show, they have their, this is PBS, what's coming up next,
Right.
kind of thing. And our kids would freak out because they thought we stopped show. They thought we just turned the channel or did something else, and we're like,
Right.
no, just wait a couple minutes and then show will start up again. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No, start it now. I can't.
Right.
So different.
Yeah.
And then I have no idea what their kids are going to do. But I guess my point is, we could see the rise and fall of kind of staple corporations, Netflix,
Sure.
Hulu's,
Sure.
because they decided to go woke and tell their customers, we don't want you anymore. I mean, if they pulled out, was it Georgia?
Yeah.
Said?
Georgia. Yeah.
That's a lot of people to say no to.
It is, but man, I tell you, I just hope.
Or to potentially make angry.
But again, now we are appealing to the other side of the aisle, saying there's something greater at risk here. We all need together. Forget that they're using abortion right now.
And why are they killing? Why are they in support of killing future customers?
I mean, but for I feel like all that stuff is futile, right? I mean, not to say abortion is futile. I'm not saying that. You know how I feel about pro-life.
Yeah.
But the reason for the fight relevant, right? I mean, the reason they're giving us, right? It's just a symptom of a bigger problem, right? When the government was talking about gay marriage, right? You and I both were like, yeah, we're conservative regardless of what our personal views are on it. The government should not have the right to tell someone who can and cannot be married. Not the government's place to be, right? Likewise, we look at it now and we say, wait, a company should not be able to dictate to a constituent how their lawmakers vote or not vote. That's the bigger problem here, in my
mind. I'm gonna have to disagree with you a bit on that.
That's
I would
fine.
say in a moralish sense, I agree with you, but since corporations are people too, I have to disagree with you because they should be able to say what they want, and that's
I understand.
Even they're saying what they want. Granted, it's with a dictation, with direction, and their customers, potential customers, they can still make it. I mean, I do the same thing with corporations. I say, you guys do this, well, I guess I'm not going to be, spending my money with you guys. It's the same. It's a similar kind of thing.
I understand. I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that corporations should not, because they have a larger, louder voice, they should not be able to usurp the wishes of. And if they do, well, they can, but the people need to be able to stand up and say, okay, if you choose to do this, then exercise our right, our the purse. You're going to draw our support, and at that point, I suppose we'll see. Only time will tell how this all ends. I know my Netflix um, membership is way I'm um, solely because I don't appreciate the corporation attempting to use paid or over constituents. Period. So, and I'm not calling for that. I'm not asking people to do that. That's just the decision that I've made in my own. And only time will tell how this line in the stand that Disney, Netflix made, and companies like PayPal have made, how history judges it. See, but I think that we have to all wake up and realize that we're seeing power here, and be ready to, again, I always say, engage in the fight. One day we'll all have to pick a side.
It reminds me of a story set in a future where corporations were. It was like a feudal system, but it was corporations instead. So instead of depending on where you lived,
Right.
you were part of that lord's province or whatever.
Sure.
It's whoever you worked for.
Huh.
So it could be anywhere, but you were servant of McDonald's,
Right.
Apple, whatever. Or not a thief. Better.
Sure.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
What was it? Jennifer something.
I
No, it's a book.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I haven't read.
Probably like 30 years old by now.
Wow.
But I read it when I was a kid. So
Okay.
who knows how long out it had been.
So before 98, before 97.
I don't remember when.
So
I think it was before the great attack, September 11th.
Right. Well, I tell you what. Well, guys, I'm sorry. I know this hasn't been a regular show. This has just been you guys being invited to hear conversation between two friends. And I think we've kind of set up our next show topic, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with not talking about integration and affirmative action and how those have hurt the black and sandy.
I love that. I love that joke, Sandy Beige 42. It's great.
So, but guys, once again, thank you guys for joining us. Talk to us. Let us know how you what you think about the content. Let us know. We're always looking to improve. Let us know what you want to hear, or give us some ideas of things that you want to hear. This is an I was going to say integrative show, but
Diverse.
Sure, diverse.
Diversity of color.
Yeah, Sandy Beige 42 and like Sandy Beige 2 right now. So, or just Beige 2. I don't know if there's any Sandy involved.
Yeah, it's probably just beige.
So, but guys, once again, appreciate you guys joining Out of the Darkness. If you're not a subscriber, please push the button, subscribe to the show. Look forward to seeing you guys on the live stream this Sunday. And remember to stay in the fight. History will ultimately be the judge. And so we want to always make sure that we are fighting for our right and fighting for others' rights to be free. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe, and definitely look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. So have a great day, and thanks for joining us.